Hello, 45 of a Charlie Papa channel here, and I've got the Old Gunsmith here, and he has written 3 more books. I will put a link in the end of the video for the interview I did with him on his first 3 books. Both of them, all 3 of those I've read. Very fun reads, very entertaining. He's got 3 more out. He's got Vengeance, which I have read, really enjoyed. That's a pirate story. The other 2, I haven't had a chance to read yet because they are fresh off the press.
Brand new, last week. They just were published last week. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about them, and I hope you'll find that this is interesting. Vengeance is a story of a young man who was a debtor that was sent to Jamaica as a indentured servant, and was going to end up on a sugar plantation in the jungle, where he would almost certainly die of yellow fever.
Yeah, yellow fever or overworked,
underpaid, and not fed. Basically, it's an adventure story. He joins the Royal Navy when they stopped looking for volunteers, because he figured the Royal Navy was better than the jungles of Jamaica. And from there, things don't go well. And he basically deserts. He's picked up by pirates, becomes part of the crew. And I try and tell the story of pirates as pirates were. Pirates were social outcasts. They were people that were in trouble with the law anyway, and they were basically drunken.
Drunken, did whatever they want.
Did whatever they want to whoever they want, and if you resisted, they killed you. None of the stuff you see on Johnny Depp doing on the movies, the very few redeeming social graces. Yeah. Eventually he does get run down by the British Navy. He makes an escape. He and his first mate travel all the way across from the East Coast to the Mississippi River. They go downriver to New Orleans, where he has been stashing all of his ill-gotten gains.
There you go.
And then he gets involved in the American Revolution. And the Spanish at that time were in charge of New Orleans and had just lost a war to the British and lost Florida. So the Spanish honestly I thought this was my idea, but the Spanish actually decided to try to supply gunpowder to the colonists by running it up the Mississippi and Ohio rivers. So we covered that in here, and he gets involved in some of the battles of the American Revolution, and he's there until the end. But it's an action adventure story. I think it moves along pretty well.
Yes, it moved along at a pretty good clip, and I really enjoyed reading it.
I think you'll really enjoy it. And as a gunsmith, where I have guns in there, I try and make sure I have the gun stuff right. If you're one of them gun guys who hates reading a book that has the guy taking the safety off of his revolver, you won't find that sort of stuff in my books.
So yeah, that's Vengeance, available on Amazon.
Amazon.com. The next one is called An American Odyssey. This one is really dedicated to all those people that came through Ellis Island. This is my maternal grandfather, Julius Bojan. That's an actual picture that was taken of him when he enlisted. When he was a young man, he grew up in Poland. His family in 1913 realized that there was a war coming, and they wanted him out of it. So they sent him to the United States to live with his brother, who had come there several years earlier. And it talks about this young man from a small town in Poland's journey by himself at 15 years old across the country when he's never been out of town before, on a train, getting to Bremen, finding how to get on the ship, what passage was like for a third-class passenger at that time, getting to Ellis Island. Think about this. 15 years old, the man is dumped on Ellis Island, not knowing the language, not knowing the monetary system, and having to get to Chicago.
Yeah.
Now, and this is a true story. This is not made up. This is what these people went through. Now, he gets a menial job because he's learning English. He can't really speak English very well. And so he's got a menial job in a foundry, which he hates. And in 1917, he's been here for 4 years. And the United States gets involved in World War I, and what does he do? Enlists. He enlists in the war.
In the war.
That he was sent to America to avoid.
Yes.
He went over with Pershing with the very first troops, and was in the 16th Infantry, and we follow the 16th Infantry and what happened to him. It's really a family story, but at the same time, if you had an ancestor who came over from England or Ireland or anywhere in Europe to the United States in the 1900s, this tells the story of what that passage was like.
What life was back then, and
right.
the struggles that they went through, even at a young age.
Oh yeah, and he joins the army, and he still speaks with a heavy Polish accent, and his corporal and his sergeant are giving him a hard time about being a dumb Polak. So he pulls the dumb Polak stuff and gets in trouble, and it's kind of a fun read. I think you'll enjoy it. And it really does talk about the first people that went over with Pershing. He was with the very first contingent that went over. The third book,
again, available on Amazon.
Amazon.com, and
I'll put a link in the description.
It's available in both Kindle, electronic version, and in paperback. And the third one is called Chicago Rhapsody.
Now, this is the one that I am excited to read. I've been hearing all kinds of stuff about it. How much fun he had writing this book.
This book was so much fun to write. This is the first time I'm actually going to write a sequel. Actually, I hope to make maybe a 3 book set out of it. But it's a young man who gets out of the military during right after Vietnam, and it takes place in the mid-70s. So there are no computers,
yeah.
no cell phones. The only computers available are a few mainframes that you have to have permission to access. So he takes the only job he can find, because nobody wants to hire us crazy Vietnam vets. We're all nuts and baby killers. He becomes a private detective in Chicago and has a number of adventures there. His one client fires him due to circumstances not really his fault, but he tends to fail at everything. He ends up down in Missouri as a jailer,
okay.
And I actually told the true stories of the things I experienced in jail. The names have all been changed to protect the guilty. So if you ever wondered what it's actually like working in a jail,
yes.
This will tell you exactly what I experienced. But so it's a kind of a mix of fantasy and reality.
Mm-hmm.
And he ends up, after he's fired from the jail, just as I was, for the same reasons.
Imagine that.
He ends
Art imitating life.
Yes.
Life imitating something like that.
Yeah. He ends up as a deputy sheriff in a small county in Iowa. And he's a deputy sheriff, and this is right in the mid-70s when the whole drug thing got started. And he's involved in a lot of problems with people coming out and cooking meth in abandoned houses on farms and that sort of thing. He gets in a gunfight or two. Finally, his worst nightmare happens. His boss calls him in and sends him back to Chicago to learn how to be a dog handler. He's seconded to the federal government drug task force and has to go back and deal with the Chicago police, the people who he had problems with when he lived there. So it follows him and his dog Percy, who has the same kind of personality he does. And between the two of them, they manage to get in more fun trouble than any two people or man and dog have any right to get into. But it was a fun thing to write, and I think you're going to find it a really fun read.
Yeah, I'm excited to read this one.
So that's Chicago Rhapsody, once again available on Amazon in both Kindle and softcover versions. And this one I think you're going to find is really fun.
Yeah, I'm excited to get my copy. I got my copy already. I just need to sit down and get it read. But again, available on Amazon. I'll put the links in the description if you're interested. But these should be really fun reads.
I enjoy writing these, and I hope that you enjoy reading them. I would really like to see some responses on Amazon. If you like the book, please go on there and give it a review and tell me what you liked or if what you didn't like.
Yeah.
So I can make things better as I go on. As I said, I hope this is the first in a series of 3. And part of the fun I had with this one is the guy's name is Richard Dzik. D-Z-I-K. It is pronounced in Polish nothing like it's spelled. And throughout the entire book, everybody is flubbing his name. Everybody's always, who?
Who? What?
Dick? Mr. Dzik? Mr. Dzik? Mr. Try and pronounce it in English. And it's just part of the fun of the whole book.
Sure. So yeah, sounds like a great read. And this 45 Alpha Charlie Papa channel. You check out these books on Amazon, and I'm out.
Thank you very much.